Got it.
Okay, Ben, over to you, mate.
All right, no problems. So this first one came about this winter, so it's quite a new one, but it's just a twist of a sort of Frenchie, so it's, you know, fairly bog standard, but it's caught so many fish for me this winter, so definitely give it a go. Start on a 16 Hanak jig, the 450s, and I got a 2.5 mil silver bead on the on it, and it's a really simple tie. So we like simple ties because I'm a simple person. Got the,
You be this.
it's the Semperfly classic wax orange, which is a lovely color, you know, bright orange, but without being, you know, it almost looks a little bit sun kissed, so it's not in your face bright, which I quite like. So just start with that. Just get a bit more light on there. And all I'm doing is just a little butt with this one. So just build it up a little bit. And then come back up and tie it off.
What's happened?
And then I'm going to swap threads now. Just onto a 8.0 purple. And I come in with the 8.0 purple. And then make it all pretty. Because as we all know, fish don't like ugly flies. So they'll have us believe. So all I've done here is so simple. It's thread body. So orange thread tag at the arse, and then purple thread body, building it up. And then I'm not using UV resins on it because I started using this stuff, the Gulf Super Minuteman glue, and it's bloody brilliant. It's really good. It really penetrates the thread, and you know, I stick that on instead of a resin. It goes into the thread. If I had zoom, you'd be able to see that it goes beautifully into the thread. But take my word for it. And you know, that already is kind of dry as a super glue, so it's fantastic. And then one more material. Let's get out. And I'll just finish it off with a little collar of Hens 45. So just a really small pinch of Hens 45.
What was that number again, Ben, please?
45.
45. Small amount up at the thorax, and then tie it off. So really sort of streamline fly, purple and orange in color with a little bit of black at the top, silver bead. Finish it off with your varnish on your thread, and that is it. And my God, I've caught a lot of fish on that this winter.
It's just a Frenchie variant.
Yeah, it's just a Frenchie variant. It was, again, I was sat there the other day just before going fishing, and I thought, what colours do I like in winter? You know, it's like, and the water was heavy, so I didn't want anything with bulk. So I put in 2 colours that I like in winter and followed the Frenchie because it's not a bulky fly, but I didn't want to go quite as far as a Perdigon. And that's what I came up with, and it's caught loads of fish. If that helps. I need the light over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep.
That glue is awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, the glue's amazing. It was really, really good. I think it gives a better finish than the resin.
Yeah.
And a more robust finish as well, because it goes right through the thread.
They go a long way, the pot.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I've been tying with that all winter. Yeah, and I've probably used a third of it.
Wow. Is it expensive?
No, it wasn't. It's the same price as normal super glue. So
Wow.
yeah, definitely that has been my find of the winter, if I'm honest.
Where do you get it from then, Ben?
Well, I got this one through Guide Fly Fishing.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sure a few shops will do it. I think you can buy it from them now as well. So, but yeah, that really has been the find of the winter for me. It's funny how the small things make a big difference in the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. As I say, really, really simple fly to tie. You know, you don't mind if you chuck a few up a tree. Did an article with it the other day, and probably caught 30 fish in the day, and 25 of them came to that.
Wow.
So
Did you have him on the point then? Did you?
No, I had him in the middle dropper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had him on the middle dropper. I had a shrimp on the top, him on the middle, and then something on the point. But it was that one every time. I tried it in bigger. It just didn't seem to work quite as well. Sometimes I find, the skinny flies in big don't work as well as they do when they're scaled down a bit. So I'm going to stick to the sort of the 2.5, 3 mil on a 16. I think suits it better. Obviously, it's quite a new fly to me, so I haven't done all the experiments with it. But I was fishing it, catching it, and I thought, I've got to show the guys this because it's it's really bloody.
Thank you.
So yeah, size them up and tell me how you get on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, very, very simple. Next fly I'll tie is I'll do the Endolphin. So this has been around for quite a while now. Came to life in the European Championships a good few years ago. I was saying to Derek, the reason it sort of came to life was we were practicing for the European, and obviously we had a few standout flies, and I got all the standout flies, stuck them next to each other, and kind of picked out the key components of the standout flies, put the components together, and came up with this fly, and we tried it, and caught a huge amount of fish on it, and it sort of became a staple in everyone's box since then. But I tie it, and there is a reason I tie it on these. So this is a Fasner 444. And the reason I tie it on these is because it's a slightly thicker gauge hook. I'll tell you why in a minute. So 14s and 16s I use. Pink beads, I haven't got any pink beads left, so I've substituted with the copper, so pretend that's pink. But the reason I fish it in a heavier gauge hook is because I fish it two ways. We dead drift it as you normally would, and that's great, and it works fantastically well. The other reason, or the other way I fish it, is I'll pitch it into shallows and kind of jig it back quite aggressively. And because of the way the sort of iridescence of it and its shape, I think it looks like a small fry. So it's really good for some sizable browns. It's quite a good little fry imitation. So in the sort of summer, autumn, pitching it into the shallows and moving it quite quickly out, it does catch some big browns. So that's why I tend to tie it on the slightly thicker gauge wire. Caught a lot on it on still waters as well. So it's a nice little fly. But yeah, so the 444 purple thread, start it off, catch the thread in, and then the tail is a Sports Direct orange shoelace, and it, as you can see, it sort of frays out when you cut it. And all I do is I take 2 bits, and that is my tail. And as you can see, you get a lot of tails out of that. I like value for money. Right. So tail, catch in, just pull it down. And then I don't tie the fly all the way down. I kind of stop at where the barb would be on the hook. Cut the tail. So I then kind of push the scissors up to the bend of the hook, and then I cut there. So the tail's quite short and it does get shrouded, but I think the way it you just see the orange coming through the fly when it's in the water. I think that's part of the reason it's sort of quite good. So make sure that tail's tied in. And then you want your classic pens number 17. Bog standard natural CDC. Now what I tend to do is I'll do a bulk of this and do a load of flies with it. So all I do is I take your CDC feather and I kind of splay it out, and then I'll cut all the fibers off CDC feather. And as I say, when I got time, I'll cut 20 or 30 CDC feathers just into a pile. I'm only going to do a couple now because that's all I need. Just do that. So you have a small pile of just CDC fibers. Let's get a bit more out. Another fly is going to incorporate this in a minute. So trust me when I say I've got a pile of CDC fibers here. I then take the hen 17 and I use about the same hen 17 as CDC fibers. So there's a sort of 50-50 mix. And then I mash it all together. So I've got them in a clump, and I kind of pull and stack, pull and stack. And I do that quite a lot until it's mixed. And by pulling and stacking, I sort of keep the fibers going in the same way. So you've got a nice sort of layer of fibers in there, which means when I put it onto the fly, they all kind of face the right way and you can get a better profile. So I've got that there. Dubbing loop onto the fly. Dubbing tool. And then pull off a fairly sort of decent stack of it. Lay it out so it's nice and flat. And then slip that into your dubbing loop. And twist it up. So you get a sort of braid of dubbing. Tease it out. And then thread at the front of the fly. I just pull all the fibers back. So they now kind of line up quite nicely. And I'll dub up the fly and I'll do a sort of turn at the back and then go up the fly quite quickly, because I want the majority of this to be at the head of the fly, because I want the bulk at the head of the fly. So I'm at the head now, so the rest goes round like that. Tie it off. Snip the
There's
thread.
few fibres on there.
Oh yeah. Don't worry though. Well, it will change in a sec. Pull it back and finish the fly off. Now I get a slightly blunt pair of scissors, so you know your old scissors, and I push it in and I kind of tease the fibers out. And because they're old, it will tease it out and then eventually cut the fibers, cut the loops that you tease it into. Once I've done that, I push all the fibers back. I hold to the back of the tail, and then at the back, I'll just rip the remaining fibers off. And that's your fly.
Ah,
So it's essentially just a dubbing loop of CDC and 17, but as you can see, gives a really, really nice profile. That
shrouds it nice as well, doesn't it?
shrouds it nicely, yeah. And that orange peeks through. It's not in your face, but it definitely comes through quite nicely. And that is the Endolphin, and it's a hell of a fly.
Where are you
Almost
fishing
like
that
it's
on the
got an egg
cast then,
inside.
Ben?
That's point or middle.
Yeah.
And I've had 2 3+ pound grayling on it.
Wow.
What was the name of it again, Ben?
The Endolphin.
Endolphin.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tell them how the name come about then.
So we were tying the fly for the competition, all of us around the table, and one of the chaps had a chocolate bar, and he was eating his chocolate bar, and he said, "Oh, I love it when you eat chocolate and the endorphins go round your brain." So we all giggled, and it kind of stuck as the name of the fly. So yeah, that's the Endolphin. But yeah, it's a really good fly. It works for trout and grayling, so it's one for all seasons. And I think part of the beauty of it is there's a splash of colour in there without it being too colourful as well. So tends to work throughout the year, because I find that, you know, colourful flies in the winter, duller flies in the summer, but that's a sort of good mix. So yeah, nice fly, definitely worth having in your box. The next fly I'm going to do is a red tag, but it's a red tag I tied donkeys ago. It's definitely stood the test of time and caught a lot of fish. It was in John's book, so it's in my box. As I say, it has stood the test of time. It's been in my box for the last God knows how long, at least 10 years plus. So it's always a good sign when a fly stays in your box that long. So again, Anak 450. I use it in 14s, 16s and 20s with matching beads, anything from a sort of 2 mil to a 4 mil. Just match the bead to the hook. Thread again is purple. Just start that one off. So tail's the first thing to go in, and it's glow bright number 4. But it's the sort of the yarn, I think it is, rather than the floss. So glow bright number 4. Tie down there. Again, I have my tails short on most of my flies. I think we as a nation tend to fish our tags too big. You know, you go and fish in the worlds and the Europeans, and the tags are minute, you know, much smaller than this even. And then you come over here and you look in someone's fly box, or you look in the shop, and the tags are, you know, pretty chunky, to be honest. So I started tying my tags a bit smaller, and I think it has upped my catch rate, tying them smaller. So that's sort of a suggestion of tag rather than an in-your-face tag, shall we say. So tags in and cut, copper wire, it's just a medium. Catch that in. And then just a black dubbing. Anything really. This is a nice soft rabbit. But whatever black dubbing you've got will do. Small amount of dubbing. Quite tight. And on this one, I don't really want the body particularly big. Yeah, perfectly judged. You think I've done that before? So, black body in, copper wire. Always wrap it the opposite way to the way you dub the body. Just keeps everything in place. Tie that off. And then we're using the rest of the Endolphin mix. So it's the same mix. And this is the fly that the sort of mix was invented for. So again, dubbing loop. Pull the fibers. I've got all the fibers lined up into your loop. Twist it up. And wrap round. Probably got a bit too much here, so I'll just sort of wrap it until it shrouds the fly nicely, but I can still see the body through it. And that is enough, so I'll then catch it off. Pull that back. Tie it off. And it's the same process as before. So I got the blunt scissors, and I just cut out some of the loops. Hold the fly, back end of the tail, rip off the excess. And there you go. So
Yeah, that comes through as well, doesn't it?
that's come through, yeah. So it kind of shrouds it and gives it a hint of colour, but also gives it a little bit different look to it. And I think, you know, fish love red tags, but I think when they see thousands of them going through, something like that can really make a difference. And the other thing is the way the fly acts is different, because it's got that. When it lands softer, so there's less plop. It also gets it, the descent is slower, and it catches the current a bit more. So I think it's all, you know, all things to think about when you're fishing nymphs, especially in high pressured water. You know, that see a lot of flies. So, you know, the back end of a comp, when I'm fishing session number 5, I'm still catching on that. Whereas if I didn't have I'm convinced if I didn't have that sort of shroud over it, probably wouldn't catch so many fish, because it's very similar to what's been through 1,000 times before.
It's
So,
like an embryo inside an egg, isn't it?
yeah, kind of thing. Yeah. But it's been in my box for 10 plus years now, and it is not going anywhere anytime soon. So it's a really, really good fly. Really good
Is
fly.
that a point fly again?
That's a point fly, yeah.
Yeah.
I do use it on the middle in the smaller sizes.
Okay.
But the other thing about this is because it doesn't sink as quick, and because it gets caught up, you can actually fish bigger flies in shallower water and get away with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is sometimes quite nice. Not all the time, but every now and then, you know, to chuck a big sort of, you know, silhouette into these shallow runs is really good. So I take it in 3 or 4 sizes in my box. Yeah, worth having. A classic, they say. So, another nice little nymph. It's nothing special. It's, you know, the kind of thing we've all seen, but it's another pattern that goes through the whole year, which I think is quite nice to have. Get the hooks out. So there's a Hanak, 4 and 5. This is a 14. Matching beads, 3, 3.5, 4, depending on what you want. And on some black thread. Catch the bead in. Tail is Glow Bright number 5 floss, which is now under the kitchen table. So just a little bit, and I do again relatively small tags. So I get a small piece, double it over, catch it in, and kind of double it back. So it's basically 4 strands of the Glow Bright floss. And again, to the back of the hook, bend of the hook, cut it off. So small tag again. I'm using a very fine wire. It's a 0.14 copper wire. So very, very fine. Catch that in,
What's this one called again, please?
It doesn't have a name yet.
Doesn't it?
No.
Beats fire.
Yeah, it's a nymph.
The Ludlow.
Yeah, the Ludlow. So I'm using a sort of South Scud dubbing, but anything like, you know, it's basically a light hair's here kind of colour. Wouldn't really be worried about the material. Small bit of that. Onto the thread. Up onto the body. I want this one a bit bushier than the last flies. So dub up, leave a little gap there because we're going to put a collar in. Wire down in the opposite direction. Break the wire off. And we're just going to do a natural CDC collar. So the way I do it is I'll get my feather, pull the fibres up, and then I've got this little thing which is basically a bit of foam with slits in it, and I push my feather, I don't know if you can see it, push my feather into the slit.
Yeah.
And it pushes the fibres up.
Yep.
On top. And just get a clip that on, pull the feather out, make sure it's come out properly. So pull the feather out, cut the stalk off. Then I've got the fibres in the clip.
Yep.
Dubbing loop. Dubbing tool. Fibres into the clip. I've now got that in there. Spin it round. And then that goes on just behind the bead. So it's just one CDC feather, a small one. Off. And then the collar is a mix of Pen Spectra 45 and 47. So it's just a 50-50 mix. I'll take that much because I don't need that much. Mix it up. Now I'll put a little bit more than I normally would on and just turn it in behind. Tie that off. And then the reason I've put a little bit more than I normally would on is I get the dubbing brush and I just pull that collar out a little bit and kind of get it to mix in with the CDC. Gives it a sort of more natural look rather than the, you know, the collar, the CDC, the body. And again, fingers to the back of the fly when the tail comes out, pull off the last bits. There you go.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, just looks buggy. You know, catches a lot of fish. Done well for me over the last sort of 8 months. And so doesn't have a name yet. But yeah, there's lots of flies out there fairly like it. It's not gonna, but definitely catches fish.
Where's that gone, the cast?
I've used it everywhere, to be honest.
Okay, yeah.
I quite like it in the small as a top dropper because it's got lots of scraggle to it and it's quite bushy. It does fish quite well on the top as well. But yeah, used it everywhere. In fact, I fished it the other day. I had a 14 with a 3.5 on the bottom. I had a 14 with a 2.5 on the middle, and I had a 16 with a 2 on the top, just to play around with it. And it all caught, all of them caught.
So you never know which is
I was
what
going
place
to
to put it in, do you?
it didn't actually help that much, apart from stuff. The fly was good. Yeah. So next, going to tie something a little bit different. This is a streamer pattern that I've used a lot on lakes and rivers. It was primarily a river streamer. Caught loads and loads of fish on it, and yeah, all over the shop. Really natural, really lovely fly. Very, again, like most of my flies, pretty easy to tie because I lose so many of them. It's Basner 500, F500 in a 12, so quite a strong hook. And then I've got a 3.5, 3.8 brass fluoro orange bead, not tungsten. I want the brass because I don't want I fish it a lot in shallow waters, so I don't really want the tungsten taking it down too quickly. I'm going to use a sort of khaki thread.
Where'd you get your beads from, Ben?
Wherever, to be honest. I don't really. I get them from Semi at Fasner. I get them from John at Hanak. Just yeah. Whoever I'm seeing at the time. I'm not overly fussed. I think, to be honest, I'm one of those people. I think a bead is a bead. Yeah, just fine. They all come from pretty much the same place anyway.
Mm.
So, yeah. This one is brass. I found harder to get. So this is a fluoro brass from F&F. So yeah, tan thread, fluoro bead, heavy gauge hook, build up, your thread stop. It takes a while. Again, this is quite an easy pattern, but really effective, and it's using a lot of the things we've used in the previous flies. So bring the thread down to about where the barb would be, and double loop. Bring your thread back up to the top. Get your dubbing loop ready. So then I've got one of these Petitjean tables. I haven't really found anything that replaces them, sadly, because they're quite expensive because they've got Petitjean on. It is good. So
That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Some of his stuff is just bloody good. If somebody was to do a cheap version, then great, but they haven't yet that I know of. So the Petitjean table. So it's got this flat top, which is sort of key in this pattern. And now it's just a holographic silver dubbing. This is hairline. Doesn't really matter, I don't think, what you use, but you do want the fibers to be quite long. So really nice length for these fibers. That's all I'm going to use. It's not much. And I'm just going to lay the fibers kind of out on the table like that. Then natural rabbit zonker. Try and get the fibers straight. And then I pull that. I put that on the table and I pull it into the table. So I'm left with that. Cut. Cut. So I'm now left with that. And as you can see, the dubbing we've put in, there's just a hint of it. Just sort of stands out quite nicely without being OTT. And I'll take the other really expensive plastic clip, put that along, open that one out, take away the table, and I'm left with that in the clip. Take a long pair of scissors.
Are they better, John, or Romed?
Of course they are. Yeah. Again, it's the Rubis, so I found them, but getting a long pair of scissors is quite hard to do.
Yeah.
And these are really good. They're Rubis, so even without Petitjean selling them, they're actually really expensive. But then I've had these 10 years now, I think, and I haven't sharpened them or anything, and they're still as good as the day I got them. So probably money well spent in the long run.
Do you like your Petitjean Vice?
Yes, it is. Yeah. But I was lucky. I swapped it for a couple of pairs of sunglasses. So it was, yeah, it was good. It's good. So I've got that.
Oh,
It is literally just rabbit with a bit of dubbing. Bit of wax and the dubbing loop. Try and line it up. Give it a good brush out. And then we'll tease it back so it's vaguely facing one way. And then wrap this up the fly. And again, like the Endolphin, I want it sort of more sparingly at the back and thicker at the front. So just take your time, and we probably won't use all of this. So I'll just kind of play it by eye. Each time I do a turn, I'll pull it back. And then at the top, I'll try and stack 2 or 3 turns in to sort of give the fly shoulders, basically. So that's probably enough. So keep everything tight. Catch it off. So I didn't use that much of it. Pull that back. Right off.
With the volume of materials, that's going to slow it down as well, isn't it?
It is, and it really gives it movement in the water. And I just give it a really sort of good brush out. There we have it. As you can see, kind of has a natural fish shape to it.
Yeah.
If you bulk up the head, have it sparser at the back, and that is a brilliant, brilliant fly. So I had it in a competition, tied it up thinking it looked really good, tried it on session 1 because it was sort of streamer water, and I thought, oh, I'll give it a go. Caught all my fish on it, so it then went round the team. The one proviso of using it is you had to use £12 tippet, so he didn't lose it. So it caught us loads and loads of fish. But that is, yeah, really, really good streamer fly. Brilliant on rivers, brilliant on lakes, just very good fly. And again, quite an easy tie. It does take a while to get the proportions right, you know, just to sort of see it out. Sometimes you put too much in, and sometimes you put too little in. But once you get it right, bloody good. Yeah.
Really nice. I like that.
Tried loads of different beads. I just think orange is just that, you know, little eye catch. So orange is I had loads of different colours in the box, you know, chartreuse and silver and gold and all that, and I've now just got the orange in there. It's far and away the best bead colour for it.
Fastmail have got coloured breast beads on sale at the moment, $1.99 for 25. In 3.2 and 3.8.
Perfect. 3.8s on a 12.
Yeah. For $1.99 for 25.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, they're bloody good beads.
Yeah. So I'm going to do you a slightly funky stillwater pattern now. I had a lot of luck on it. A couple of my friends use it quite a lot now as well. And it's a bit of a hybrid pattern. So this is size 10 ARAX. So just a size 10, whatever you use will do.
Heavy wire?
Yeah, it's quite heavy wire because it's rainbows really primarily. So I tend to fish a heavier wire one. Just a fire orange, hot orange thread. Put a base down. And it's the Glow Bright number 4 floss. Not the floss there. Yeah, the sort of one we had before. Catch that in. Bit more of a tag on here because it's rainbows. I want a bit more flash. So do a bit more sort of longer tag there. Trying to find the copper wire. Okay. Copper wire, medium. From there. Catch that in. Light hairs here. Again, doesn't really matter. You could use that stuff. not really fussed about the dubbing. It's just the light colour, I think, is the important aspect of it. Relatively thick dubbing body because I want to brush it out. So I'll use a bit more than I would on a Nymph, say. Dub up to the top. Grizzle hackle. I've got the sort of slightly softer ones at the front. Catch that in. A couple of turns at the front. And then palmer it down. Bring the wire around, catch it off, and then come through the body. Right off at the top. Hackle off. And give it a good brush out. Hot pink. Marabou. Just get a good pinch of the marabou. Pull everything back. Put that on the top. Couple of turns in. Cut that off. Finish off the fly. Nice orange, orange head.
Has this one got a name, Ben?
Nope.
The unloved.
Yeah. And then I go to the back, go to where it all finishes. And that is it. Caught loads of fish on this. Used to be an amazing stocks fly up at Stocks before the Prince Albert took it on. But there you go. Great.
Nice.
Great reservoir top dropper fly.
Yeah.
Natural body, bit hint of colour, a lot of disturbance in the water. Really, really interesting looking fly, but caught loads of fish on it. And it's taken originally from, it's a variant of a Czech river streamer. So it does actually work quite well on rivers as well for wild brownies, believe it or not. But yeah, really, really good fly. So I'm going to tie you another stillwater lure. this one I call the car park fly. This one does have a name. So the reason it's called the car park fly is when I was doing a couple of comps, you know, before you go out, sometimes you don't want the other competitors to know what flies you're using. So you put a fly on the rod that you think no, everyone will look at and think, oh my God, you know, there's no way he's using that. And this was that fly. And I got out to a drift one day and fish were moving everywhere. I couldn't be bothered to change the fly. I thought I've just got to get a fly on the water. So cast out the car park fly. And now I use it a hell of a lot. Just kept on catching fish. So it's really ugly and it's horrible, but my God, is it effective. So hot orange red again, coral marabou. Just a pinch of coral. Because this one's sort of going into the tail, cut the stubs off, and then I pull out some of the fibers because I just want it to be a bit thinner when I tie it in. Wet it and then trim it again. And then that's what goes in.
Definitely cuts down on bulk.
Yeah, hugely. You know, that's almost as though I'm on the hook shank, and yet I've got this beautiful tail at the back. So it's a really, really good tip if you're trying to cut down, because now I'm going to put in a chenille. So, you know, big bulk under a chenille just sort of makes it look unnatural, really. So this is just a, you know, green micro chenille. And then, because I want the body to be nice and even again, bring the thread back up to the top and I tie in the chenille where the marabou stopped. So come all the way down. Back up. And nice touching turns of marabou to give it a lovely body. Come up to there. Catch it off.
Well,
I think they just remembered to tell you some active.
not sure.
Coral marabou again. Another good pinch. Coming a bit higher on that one. Catch that in. Cut the fibers off. Cut the stalks off.
Like a pink cat's whisker.
Yeah, basically. And then finish it off with a hot orange head. Line everything up. Best to break it by hand. I think it looks a bit more natural. And finish it off. It is a cat's whisker, but you're using coral instead of white.
Does the brush come that fine, or have you trimmed it down?
No, that's how it's come.
Nice.
There you go. Very ugly.
Yeah.
Side is a joke, but keeps catching fish. So it's definitely stayed on.
Very good.
What else have I got for you? So I've got two more for you. I've got this really ugly thing, which I promised someone I'd tie for you. So I've got a Jig Superb, size 14. Somewhere. I've got some pink beads. Just some pink beads.
So a jig hook as well.
Yeah, it's a jig hook. Yeah, just the Hanat 415. Again, match your hook size to your bead. I usually use pink thread, but I haven't brought it with me, so orange will do. Better thread to catch the bead in. Let's tighten this up. And those purists out there, you're going to be really proud of me. So. Lovely. This is the Fasner Squirmy Chenille. So I've got the fuchsia, or fuchsia as they call it out there, and the baby pink. So what am I going to do with these two? Well, put them next to each other, and I'll tie in. We're sort of calling this the double squirmy. So just 3 catching turns, thread back up to the top, wrap it around, gives you a lovely sort of stripy body. Catch it in. Right off. So
That was quick.
That's what I was going to say. That's a quick tie.
stripy body, double tail, 2 different colors. It catches fish. Yeah, I just thought I'd show it to you.
Good. Yeah.
But as you say, a really quick tie. So
You don't mind losing it up a tree there.
no, you don't. Mind you, with the price of tungsten nowadays, it gets a bit harder, doesn't it? So I'm gonna finish it off with my absolute favorite river dry. This is an absolute killer. I tie hundreds of these a season because all my clients want them and I use them all the time, and yeah, they just go. So this is a size 12 dry fly hook, tan thread, slide in, give it a nice sort of bed of thread down to where the barb would be, bring it back up. And then this is EP fiber in a sort of grey, but arrowing, you know, anything along those lines is absolutely fine. But this is a sort of the colour I think is more important. It's a sort of a grey colour. So I've got a small strip there.
Like a blue dun colour.
Yeah, like an iron blue dun colour. So, small strip. Catch that in so that where the body finishes near the head. This is it's a variation of Davie Parker's Retirer. So just a fantastic fly, floats like a cork, not a lot of material, but a really, really good silhouette. You know, it's great because it lifts up on one cast and it's sort of floating again, and yeah, it's just a phenomenal fly. But there is a twist. So Davie uses and cuts this. I think he does about the same length tail as shank of hook because it's supposed to be the sort of casing of an emerging fly. But on this one, I still do quite a long tail, but I do about half the length of the hook shank and cut it off. Next thing, red holographic, small. Catch that in. Go back down. Body is Spectradub number 47. So the green one. Small bit of that. Onto your thread. Bring it up. A bit more there. I want to leave a bit of gap there
Please.
because I'm going to do other stuff. Then red rib comes up. Pry that off. That'll be means that. It's deer hair. I think this is the coastal deer hair, so it's a bit softer, smaller fibers. Snip a few off. That's as much as I want. Maybe 15, 20 fibres or hairs, should I say. I'll stack that. I don't put it in a stacker. I want it a bit more higgledy-piggledy. And I'll put that to where my tail is finished. Catch that in, tie it down. Trim off the front. Then back in with your EP fibres or your aero wing. That goes on top of your deer wing. Keep it on top. Catch that in. Cut that off. Make sure it's all tight. And then back in with your deer. Same sort of amount of fibres. Too many there. So you're sandwiching
Okay.
your EP fibres or your aero wing in between 2 layers of deer. Cut those off. That down. And I haven't brought my squirrel. Now normally I'd use a bit of squirrel dubbing, but I'm just going to use a bit of leggy hairs here instead. And you kind of want to too much. You want a loose dubbing at the head. Tie it off. Yeah.
Nice fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So really good silhouette to it. I think that green and red body kind of gives it a little something, but big profile for not a lot of material. And as you can see, lots of sort of space in there. So it doesn't really get that waterlogged. Sits quite well. Yeah, and 12 is about my normal one. I do tie it a bit smaller, do tie it a bit bigger, but 99 times out of 100, I'm using a size 12. And that is probably my best dry fly.
excellent.
Good search
Yeah,
as well.
very good then.
If they're not right,
Yeah, it's lovely.
so yeah. And there you go, gents.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you. Lovely.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben.
My pleasure. Hope you tie a few and catch a few.
Get back out again.
We've all left the rivers to go down.
Yeah, well, plenty of time.
Oh, there's some water in there at the moment, blimey. We got floods here.
It's not great, is it?
No.
Thanks, Ben.
That's all right, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best.
Ben, thanks a lot.
Cheers, that really good. Thank you.